So in this video, I'm going to talk you through how to get your first 100 sales on Etsy. So even if you're literally just starting out on a platform or have not made a single sale to date, then I absolutely promise together we'll definitely get there. What's up guys, Alfie here. So I started my Etsy shop almost 2 years ago now, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions of my whole life. And with my shop just crossing the 5,000 sale mark. However, at the start, things were very different. Sales were really slow, and I thought I'd never even make it to 10 sales, let alone 100. But this was just until I started putting techniques in place that I learned from endless trial and error and hundreds of hours of research that eventually allowed me to make my first 100 sales at around the 3-month mark. So all of these tips are personally tried and tested, and if I had to go right back to day one of starting my Etsy shop with 0 sales, this is exactly what I would do. So starting off with step number 1, and this is going to be to get all of your prep work done. So before you even go live with your Etsy shop or even make your first sale, you have to make sure that your business and your Etsy shop is set up right. So this is absolutely essential because the day will come when you eventually do make your first sale on Etsy. And if you aren't set up right and the customer doesn't receive their item, or the item's terrible quality, or it's taken ages to get there, or the packaging's terrible, then you're likely gonna end up getting a bad review. And a bad review in, I'd say, your first 5 or 10 sales is a quick way to absolutely destroy your shop's chances of long-term success right from day one. So honestly, your shop's first 10 sales are gonna be the most important sales that your shop's ever gonna make. And it's extremely important to make sure that you get 10 satisfied customers, but probably more crucially, make sure that you get no unsatisfied customers. So this is your prep work that you have to get right. And firstly, you need to make sure that your product is actually good. So for this, I'd recommend asking family and friends to actually take a look at your product and review your product to make sure that the quality is there, and it's actually gonna be something that people are gonna be like happy to receive. And you know, the more honest they are with their feedback, the better it is for you. But remember, just bear in mind, giving it to somebody like your mum, where they're probably gonna say the product's amazing no matter what, is probably not actually gonna be the best feedback for you. But yeah, use your own judgment. So secondly, you have to ensure that your packaging is amazing, and also that you've actually got enough packaging in stock to start fulfilling orders when they start coming in. And also I'd advise making sure that your packaging is actually stable enough to protect your items that you're gonna be shipping. So especially if you're shipping fragile items. So I'd recommend just doing a real quick drop test at home. So just package an item up, drop it from a decent height, and just make sure that your packaging actually does the job it's supposed to. Thirdly, moving on to the logistical side of things, you have to make sure you know how you're actually gonna start fulfilling orders when they do come in. So this is things like, how are you gonna post the orders? What countries can you ship to? What countries can't you ship to? How much your postage is gonna cost? You know, where's your nearest postage drop off? Or is somebody gonna come and pick the orders up for you? So, you know, basically you just need to make sure that all of your logistics, so all of the logistical side of things of running your business, are all crystal clear to you, and you know exactly what you need to do. So as soon as you start getting orders in, they can be fulfilled straight away. You get them out the door, and people are gonna be happy with their packages right from day one. All right, so moving on to step number 2 now, and this is gonna be to set up your listings correctly. So now that you're ready behind the scenes, you need to start optimizing your listings for sales. So look, it's just a reality. When you have no reviews and no sales, you are gonna be extremely reliant on your product photography and your product quality. So it's a non-negotiable that at the start, your product just has to be marketed right to be able to stand out. So I advise making sure that any product photography you take is top spec, crystal clear, and even take a look at what some of the best selling items and the best Etsy sellers in your niche are doing, because essentially these are the products that you're competing against. And you've always got to remember, if a customer's looking at 2 products and they've got the option of a very well-renowned supplier with a massive sales history and loads of reviews versus your product with no reviews and no sales history, 99% of the time, they're gonna go for the sales history. So this is why it's extra important that you just have to stand out with your marketing, your photography, and your product quality. So I've said this in pretty much every single one of my previous Etsy videos, but I always recommend using a blurred background for your thumbnail images, because In my mind, this is just the quickest way to make your product stand out and pop out of the page against the competition. And remember in your product photos to show all different angles of the product. So this starts to give the customer that extra element of trust where maybe you don't have the reviews to build that. And again, also following on from those lines, if you can, I'd absolutely recommend to add a product video to your listing. Because again, this is just gonna play on that keyword, which is trust. And you need to do all you can at the start when you've got no reviews and no sales to build that trust with the customer. And then of course, crucially, you need to make sure that your listing is perfectly optimized for SEO, search engine optimization. And I've actually created my ultimate Etsy SEO guide to tell you exactly how to do this. And I'll leave a link to that in the top right corner of this video for you to check out if you wish. Okay, so moving on to step number 3 now, and this is to start setting your shop up to start building that trust. All right, so now that you've got everything set up behind the scenes, your listings are set up, you now need to start setting your shop up to ensure that when a customer actually gets to your shop, it's trustworthy. So this is a word you're gonna hear me repeating a lot throughout this video because I think it's the most crucial word to getting your first 10 sales, let alone your first 100, trust. So think of it like going to a tattoo artist or even to get like a haircut, for example. You never really wanna be somebody's first customer. And this is exactly what customers shopping on Etsy are gonna think of your shop. So to start with, I always recommend populating the about section of your shop. So tell your story, make it personable, include some pictures of your product, your packaging. Ideally, best case scenario, you include a video which shows your process, your products, your packaging, just everything that you possibly can get in there that somebody watching is gonna see, and they're gonna see it's a very legitimate shop. And then also in the about section, there's always an option to link your social medias. And of course, if you've got active social medias like Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, then this is just gonna be another great way to start building trust with the customers. And then of course, something that I see a lot of beginner Etsy stores just totally neglect is your shop banner. So in my opinion, this is one of the quickest ways to really elevate a beginner store and make it look a lot more professional right from the start. And you can very easily create a banner on a program like Canva, for example. All right, so moving on to step 4 now. And this is to start getting your first reviews trickling in. So just ask yourself, what's the best way to start building customer trust? And the answer every time is undoubtedly to build trust through reviews. So to start getting your first reviews trickling in, I really recommend to speak to your friends, family, and your close network to help you out with this one. So all you want to do is just speak to them, let them know that you've started an Etsy shop and what you're trying to achieve, and ask if they can just help you out by buying some of your shop items at the start. And the reason I say buy in is because sometimes it's a big ask to actually ask somebody to financially commit to helping you. So something that I personally did with my store just to get some reviews rolling at the start is to go to friends and family and ask them to basically make a purchase from my store, but I would then transfer them the money straight away back into their account. And I would still, of course, give them the item just for free, just for helping me out. But essentially what this allowed them to do is after a week or so is for them to then leave a review. And this is of course a very legitimate review. And yeah, just maybe the more times that you can do this at the start, obviously the much better this is going to be for your shop. But please just bear in mind, like, I wouldn't go asking complete strangers for this. And also just one side note, as much as I love all of you guys watching, please don't ask me to just start buying items from your shop to help you out, because honestly, I haven't got many videos on YouTube, but I've had so many messages just asking me to buy things from your shop. And I feel really bad saying no every time, but it's just, if I did buy something from literally everybody's shop that was messaging me, then I'd be a very broke man very quickly. So I'm there for support, all the information that you want, but yeah, sorry, just don't ask strangers, just stick to your very close circle. And then of course, for all of the legitimate sales that you start making, I'd 100% recommend to start asking every single customer for a review if possible. Or even better, I recommend to add a promotional insert into your packaging, which actually asks the customer for a review. So this could be like a QR code or even just a handwritten note to say that you're a new shop starting out, and every review is really gonna help to support the growth of your shop. So just always remember the keyword, trust, and reviews equal trust. And the more you can get at the start, the absolute better this is gonna be for your long-term shop success. Okay, so moving on to step number 5 now, and this is gonna be to go the extra mile for your first orders. So I always say this, look after your customers and they will look after you in return. So honestly, just for your first 20 to 30 orders, I'd say, just go the extra mile. Put the time in to make sure your customers are 110% happy and they will honestly look after you in return. Because always just remember, if your customers are very satisfied early doors, they're going to be more likely to return and actually help you make more sales. And they're going to tell their friends and they're going to leave you a review. And it's honestly just going to help your store out so much at the start. So just think about anything you can do to actually go the extra mile. So this would be things like adding freebies to your packaging. So ideally products that you can afford to give, but if not, even just like a little token gesture, like a bag of sweets or anything, like even just like handwritten note, I think that goes a long way as well. And if shoppers are messaging you early on, asking a lot of questions because maybe you don't have that social proof, so they just want to be sure of their purchase, make sure that you're on it and you're replying as soon as possible and you're providing as much information as possible. Just to put their mind at ease, and again, that keyword to help them trust your shop more. So personally, I've actually got plenty of reviews that literally sometimes don't even mention the product, they just mention customer service. So yeah, you can tell great customer service, it goes a long way with people. All right, moving on to step 6 now, and this is to actually be realistic about what to expect. So these are just a few of the common questions I see getting asked all the time on social media. How long will it take to make my first 100 sales on Etsy? How many sales should I get in my first month? Why have I not made a sale after 2 weeks when some other YouTuber has shown that they've made 50 sales in that time? But yeah, very common questions that I see everywhere. So yeah, this is why it's very important to know what's actually realistic for your niche and your products and what to expect of your shop. And don't just go willy-nilly comparing what you think you should be making sales-wise against other shops in different areas. So for me personally, it took almost 3 months to make my first 100 sales on Etsy. And let me tell you, in the first month, there was not a lot of action at all and there was barely any sales. But honestly, once you do start making a few sales, it slowly starts to get a lot more exponential as obviously, as I said again, that trust factor starts to build with your shop. And then that's the point when you kind of put the snowball in motion and then your sales will start rolling in a lot more frequently. But yeah, at the start, times are gonna be hard. So you just gotta do everything that you can to maximize your odds. And then yeah, as I say again, obviously just remember, the frequency of sales is always gonna depend on many factors like your niche, the products you sell, obviously even like economic factors at the time, like how much money are people even spending online at this period, what month you start, seasonality. So there's just so many variables that just remember to not, I'd never say it's a good idea to compare too much against your competitors or what other shops are doing. And then of course as well, just remember the amount of learning that you're gonna do over the first few months of even just owning your Etsy shop, even if you make no sales, is honestly gonna be priceless. So think, even if you make no sales in your first, say 6 months, the amount you're gonna learn in that time is literally almost the equivalent of like a graduate or like a university course. Like you're gonna learn so much information about business, it's never a wasted journey. And also if you're gonna be spending your days stressing about how many sales you're making, then in my opinion, that's just not gonna be good for your mental health at all. And I just personally don't think that that's why we should be getting into business in the first place. So for me, business is a journey and it's important to enjoy that journey every step of the way and don't ever worry about just going from 0 to 100 as quick as you can, because then essentially you're rushing, you're stressing and you're not enjoying the journey and you're not enjoying building your business. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. And as always, if you find some value in my content and you find some value with what I'm saying, then please don't be afraid to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Essentially, I just want to give as much value and build a great community with you guys so that we can all help each other. And I think when we're working together and we're sharing tips in the comment section, for example, I'm going to keep giving my tips, and I think together we can all grow as much as we can. So yeah, keep pushing and good things are bound to happen. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.